Chris Eubank Jr. versus Tom Doran. Chris Eubank Jr. wins by 4th round stoppage. I believe he knocked Doran down once in the 3rd round and 3 times in the 4th round before the referee waved it off. And even though Doran didn't look stopped in the sense that he was knocked unconscious, the referee was definitely right to stop it after the 4 knockdowns. Slightly odd fight. In the first 2 rounds, Eubank Jr. seemed very content to jab from range, very content to box from the outside, and then moving into the 3rd round, he just exploded into classic Chris Eubank Jr., the blueprint, flurries of punches, relentless aggression, hooks, uppercuts, bodywork, 10 punches in a second, that sort of thing. And the second he started applying that pressure, the second he started putting his punches together, Tom Doran folded and unfortunately couldn't live with Chris Eubank Jr. What was interesting about this fight for me is Chris Eubank Jr. looked like an absolute wrecking ball on the inside, which is something that we've known about him for a little while. But this fight kind of highlighted to me that Chris Eubank Jr. still has a lot to work on from the outside. In fact, this is the first time we've really seen him box on the outside in a relevant manner since the Billy Joe Saunders fight. And I thought the Sky commentary team, if you watch this fight back, really were failing to highlight a lot of the punches Doran was landing on Chris Eubank Jr. For me, and I'm not saying Eubank Jr. was ever bothered or hurt, Doran was landing on Eubank Jr. a lot in this fight. The jab, but also counter punches. Doran was timing Eubank Jr. well at times, and when Eubank Jr. was engaging, he was very open to being counterpunched. For people who say he walked through Billy Joe Saunders is clearly on a different level to Tom Doran. And look at the way Tom Doran was having success boxing him from range and hitting him with counterpunches. And the Sky commentary team seemed to go completely blind every time Doran, was landing a punch. But, regardless, Chris Eubank Jr. after 2 rounds decided to move into a more typical Eubank Jr. fight, decided to bring the action up close on the inside, and when he did, he looked absolutely devastating. The difficulty for him is going to come when a fighter like Tom Doran, or a fighter he fights in the future who's better than Tom Doran, should I say, keeps him on the outside. Tom Doran had nothing in the form of a jab, nothing in the form of world-class movement to circle away and to keep the fight long, like we saw at times in the Billy Joe Saunders fight. Tom Doran didn't have a Golovkin-style jab that would keep an opponent off. But, if you are the kind of fighter who can keep Eubank Jr. at range, this fight gives you a lot of hope that you can outbox him. For me, Eubank Jr. is very hittable from range. He's not the most defensively astute. And I thought Tom Doran landed a lot of punches on him that the Sky team just weren't mentioning. Nevertheless, it was a very good performance from Chris Eubank Jr. He is a uniquely exciting and entertaining fighter. He's hugely charismatic in his performance inside the ring with the way he postures, the way he showboats, and the style of fighting he brings is extremely entertaining. And he's devastating when in full flow. My concern is just when he meets the elite technicians of the game, is he going to deal with their long-range game and their movement? But regardless, Eubank Jr. wins. He wins in crippling style. He turned it on and basically got Doran out of there in a couple of minutes after turning it on. Eubank Jr. goes on. Let's see where he goes next. Lots to talk about Gennady Golovkin. I think Eddie and Barry Hearn are starting to suggest that they've got that fight, but they're not so sure the Eubanks want it after all. So it will be fascinating to see what happens there. Let me know your thoughts on this matchup, people. How impressed were you? Where does Eubank Jr. go from here? And are you like me? Was there anyone out there like me who thinks that the Sky team didn't give enough credit to what Doran was actually doing and the possible weaknesses that exploited in Eubank's game? Let me know your thoughts, people. If you've enjoyed this, hit the thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Many thanks.